What's good, y'all? My name is Zach Young, and welcome back to Young Money Sports. So the Miami Heat just finished their first playoff game of the year against the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, getting smoked 121-100, and I figured I would just come on here and just get my thoughts on the game and the performances and what I think they can do for the rest of the series. So like I said, the Cavs ended up beating the Heat 121-100, and I will give them credit, they never were truly out of the game. I know at the beginning, it looked a little rough, but they got back into it, actually had a lead for a second, and then from that point on in the first quarter, after the Cavs got the lead back, they never gave the lead back up, and Miami would always stay within striking distance, but by the end of the fourth quarter, it was all done. The Cavs just completely poured it on, and the Heat ended up falling by 20 points. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland basically got whatever they wanted. They combined for 57 points, and Darius Garland got hot there, especially at the end from three, just hitting every big shot. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley were fine offensively, they weren't setting the world on fire, but they did hit a few nice shots in the paint. I know Evan Mobley hit a three. They were pretty solid defensively, and their size definitely had an impact on how Miami could score in the paint. But for the Cavs, their player of the game definitely has to be Jerome. This dude is making his playoff debut. I understand that he's having a pretty good year this year, averaging I think around 13 points per game. But still, his playoff debut, and this dude goes out there and just lights the world on fire, scoring 28 points on 10 for 15 shooting off the bench. Like I said, I know that he is good this year. He's good in his role. He's a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year. But it's still such a Miami Heat thing to do, to let a guy like Jerome torch you in a playoff game. It can never just be the star players on a team doing their job. There's always just got to be one role player on the other team that just has the game of their life. I'm not really surprised or shocked at how the Cavs play because they're the best team in the NBA, so of course they're going to look good, and of course you're going to have role players that can step up and provide offense when some people may be lacking on that team. But it's still just Ty Jerome out of everybody, I thought if any role player was going to cook us today, I thought it was going to be Max Strus, just because of what Bam and Tyler have been saying, and of course that he is a former Heat player, and he was on that 2023 finals team. I thought it was going to be him, and he hit a couple early shots that made me think that he was going to have a big day, but he was kind of quiet after hitting those couple shots. On Miami's end, there really isn't that much positively to talk about. Bam had a pretty nice game. He had a nice stretch there in the fourth quarter when the game was actually close, where it seemed like he was taking over the game. I believe he scored around 7 or 8 points for Miami in that stretch, so that was nice to see. It was nice to see him actually continue having good games and get back to that all-star form that we know that he's capable of getting to. Davion Mitchell played some good defense, had 18 points on 8 for 12 shooting, so not a bad night. Andrew Wiggins had a hot start and then kind of petered out near the end, and the same could really be said for Tyler Hero, who had 17 points in the first half, and then for the rest of the game, he only had 4 points. He only scored, I believe, 2 points after the 10-minute mark in the third quarter, so he was basically a non-factor after the first half. And it's been said by many Heat fans alike, if you want to have any chance of competing with the number 1 seed, you've got to have your star players playing great basically the entire time, because you're fighting uphill from the get-go. There is no room for error. So you can't have a half where you're only dropping 4 points after dropping 17 in the first half. You got to have a great all-around game. And this isn't just a Tyler Hero thing either. This goes for Andrew Wiggins and Bam Adebayo. I know I said Bam had a good game, but there were times where he was struggling from the field, and he was not really producing as much as we know that he can. And the other problem is that we didn't have really any marginal contributions from any of our other role players. Khalil Ware only had 2 points. Alec Burks only played 15 minutes and dropped 6 points. Duncan Robinson played 15 minutes and dropped 8 points, which isn't terrible. Haywood Highsmith was fine on defense, even though he did get cooked by Donovan Mitchell a handful of times. He dropped 7 points. Not awful performances, but like I said, when you're competing with a number 1 seed, you gotta be able to step up your game if you want any chance to win. That's why they won in 2023. Not just because Jimmy was killing it, but because we had our role players stepping up and shooting way above their pay level. There were also just a lot of small things for Miami that ended up really building up that didn't go their way that really hurt them down the stretch. They could not get rebounds. I know that on the stat sheet, it looks like the offensive rebounds for both sides are fairly similar, but what really hurt Miami was those second chance points. Because whenever the Heat got an offensive rebound, I don't really remember it ever leading to many second chance points, but it seemed like for the Cavs, whenever they would get an offensive rebound, it would always lead to like an open three or a nice putback shot. It also seemed like they could never come up with those 50-50 balls that would come up, and they kept turning the ball over way too much, especially in the first half, and that's what let Cleveland build up that big lead. Miami's lack of size, especially at the power forward position, was really apparent whenever it was just Bam or just Ware out there, because anytime that was the case, the Cavs would understandably run some pick and roll with Jared Allen or Evan Mobley and try to switch to have them be guarded by somebody like Haywood Highsmith or Kyle Anderson, because that's an easy matchup that's going to get them a bucket. So this really just ain't a great matchup for a team that already is lacking in size when their two big players are not on the court. But like I said before, I'm not going to act surprised that this is how the game went, because, I mean, for God's sake, there's like a, 27 game win differential between these two teams. There's a reason that the Heat finished as the 8th seed in the conference. Actually, they finished as the 10 seed and then managed to work their way up to the 8th seed through the play-in. But this is just a huge mismatch from every possible aspect. I think they may end up getting one game in this series if they have a hot shooting night at home and the Cavs manage to just struggle one night, have an off night. But I don't think they really have any chance of pushing the series more than 5 games, and really there's no chance of them winning this series at all. And I'm not going to go into this too much because that'll be for the season retrospective, but all I'll say is that they are not winning this series. I'll be very shocked if they win more than one game. So that's going to do it for this video. I'll probably be doing one of these videos for each game that the Miami Heat are playing. I can't imagine it's going to be more than maybe 4 more, but I'm not going to keep harping on that. But let me know what y'all think about the Heat in this series. Let me know what y'all think about the Cavs. Let me know what y'all think about these playoffs, because I think they've been pretty damn good so far. I'm hoping we see a lot more series go the distance this time around instead of like last year where we had games go 4 or 5 games. I think there is potential for a lot of these series to go the distance, and I'm really hoping so because, like I said, what we've gotten so far has been pretty damn good. But like I said, let me know what y'all think. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.
Mitchell, lobbing, Bam crushing again.